It happens every week now. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. It is Monday, live from the third largest city in the United States, Chicago, Illinois. It's The Drive with Mario Smith. Happy Monday to all of you. Happy day after great football day. What a day. We'll be definitely talking about that later. Glad you all are here. It is super cold and very snowy in Chicago, Illinois. But here I am. I have on a hoodie in my house. It's not cold in my house. I just have on a hoodie in my house. Welcoming him, I think he's back in his studio in Portland, Oregon. Jay Gliss, what's up, man? He's back. He survived. I can't hear you. Why can't I hear you? Uh-oh. Gliss says he had so much fun on his vacation, he decided to never speak on the show again. It happens. You get. I can wait on you. You know what? While I'm waiting on you, I just want to tell everybody thank you for listening to and watching Backchannel TV. If you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening on a Alexa supported device, Amazon supported device, we thank you. You've been listening since 6 a.m. Eastern. Haley and Allison kicked it off. The amazing Liv Harrison is at 8 a.m. Eastern. Jam and Renee caught a little bit of Jam and Renee today. Not feeling too well, but I did catch some of. I'm not feeling well. They're feeling great. Caught a little bit of Jam and Renee. They begin at 10 Eastern. Sir Anthony Davis starts at noon Eastern, and right before us is my pal Hal. He begins at 2. We end your broadcast day beginning at 4 p.m. Eastern. And check on my man Gliss again. Okay, he's out. He's not out. He'll be back. But in the meantime, let's check out some of these headlines that are happening in our part of the world. The United States, if you have not heard about this, it would be wise to get on board. The United States is discussing military deployment near the Ukraine with NATO as the West steps up its response to Russian threats. The United States is discussing the deployment of American military forces to Eastern Europe with its NATO allies, a senior administration official said earlier today, as President Joe Biden weighs options for responding to Russian threats against the Ukraine. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has placed 8,500 troops on, quote, heightened alert, close quote, to assist with the defense of NATO allies. Pentagon spokesman John Kirby said during a news briefing earlier today. He said no deployment orders have been given. It is a tense situation on the border between the Ukraine and Russia. If you are an investor, you've probably had quite the day today as the market gets ready to close. It is indeed getting uglier in stock markets as fears about inflation spark a brutal drop. It's been a horrible start to the year for stocks, and it's bringing a 3-year rally in markets to an abrupt halt. The Dow Jones Industrial Average slumped by more than 700 points today, or a decline of more than 2%, and was headed for a 7th consecutive daily fail. If to make matters worse, the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, which also slumped today, have now fallen, both of them, by more than 10%, each from their record highs, a fall that is known in markets as a correction. Cryptocurrencies weren't spared from the rout, with Bitcoin down 5% to about $34,000 in Bitcoin. Worries about rising tensions in the Ukraine, where Russian troops are massed at the borders, contributed to the declines. But ultimately, the fears are being driven by the recent surge in inflation to 40-year highs, which will require the Federal Reserve to raise interest rates to cool prices. Anybody understand cryptocurrency? If you're in the chat and you understand it, let me know. I am so curious as to how cryptocurrency works. I get it, but I'm not at all super well versed in it. Gliss, you know anything about crypto?
No, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Oh,
you sound great. Welcome back.
Good. I guess that's what happens when you pack up your computer and take it somewhere else, and then
take a wonderful trip to the coast of Oregon to get some fun and sun. You have a good weekend?
Yeah, it was good, man. It was nice and relaxing. We lucked out. The weather was beautiful, so it was nice and sun. I mean, cold, obviously, this time of year.
Right.
but kind of nice because it's not as busy. So it's beautiful.
Well, that's good. I didn't know
Lots
you
of
were
good football, and like we'll talk about that later. But it was a good
man.
weekend overall.
Man, was it ever? Let me tell you, in Chicago, they are letting Aaron Rodgers have it in ways I never would have imagined. It is the
But
best thing ever. Outside of the Bears actually winning a playoff game, it is really going down. Poor guy, not upset about him at all. Last thing before we walk off and take a quick break, before we present you a little bit of a more in-depth look at what's going on. The federal trial begins for the three other police officers at the scene of George Floyd's murder. A federal prosecutor told jurors this morning that officers Tom Thao, J. Alexander Coing, and Thomas Lane could have saved George Floyd's life in 2020, but they chose not to. In opening arguments, prosecutor Samantha Treple said officers are trained to help people in need, but the three didn't intervene as Floyd slowly died as then Officer Derek Chauvin kept his knee on Floyd's neck for more than 9 minutes. Her quote is, quote, "You'll hear that the medical aid that would have saved George Floyd's life was as simple as that, turning George Floyd on his side so his heart kept beating," close quote, she told jurors. Defense attorneys described Floyd's death as a tragedy but not a crime by their clients. A lot going on in the world today. Again, the news about the Ukraine is prevalent at the moment, and we'll be able to look at the stock market toward the bottom of the hour to see just how bad it ended up today. When we come back on the drive, we will bring you the stories from around the world, meet some of our folks who are listening, our wonderful passengers, and hang out. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. This is The Drive with Mario Smith on Backchannel.tv. We'll be back in a second. Welcome back to The Drive with Mario Smith. I am him. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Hello, Riyadh. What's up, brother? Out in California. And Princess, a brand new listener, is in New Jersey. Princess, if you'd like to get into the chat, into the stream, please just tell your device you want to chat with The Drive, and it will happen. And welcome. I'm glad that you're here to check out the show for the first time. You're going to have a good time. Promise you're going to have a good time. And I hope that you stay and tell your friends and come back and hang out with us. My man Jay Gliss is in Portland, Oregon. We together are driving this show. You're one of our passengers, Princess, and I'm super glad that you're here. Thank you so much for joining us. We have to acknowledge our folks when we see them and let them know how important they are to us. This doesn't happen without you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's take a look at some stories that are happening around our world this afternoon. I'm pivoting. Hold on. Pivot. Here we are. In Chicago, the Chicago Public School System and the Chicago Teachers Union have been going back and forth about COVID-19, about testing, safety, etc. Over the weekend, it was revealed that the Chicago public school system messed with the numbers a little bit for the data. CPS officials didn't respond to allegations made over the weekend of underreporting COVID 19 cases in schools last week, but finally released a statement on it Friday night. Officials said that after the winter break, they changed the kinds of cases they report at the school level. They stopped reporting new open cases and only reported closed cases that have already been, quote, reviewed and investigated, close quote, which can take weeks. Why that matters? And this is from Axios, by the way. Why it matters is that case numbers can determine whether or not individual schools switch to remote learning, a huge issue in the recent Chicago Teachers Union, Chicago Public School System standoff. CPS officials didn't alert anyone, including the Chicago Teachers Union, that they were changing their counting methods, even with cases currently soaring to record levels. School level data is what many CPS parents use to assess their own family situation. So let me give you a paint a picture for you. Let's say your kid's in a public school, and let's say that your child, that you as the parent, a little bit worried about COVID. You're worried about the numbers. You're a little apprehensive to send the kid to school. The data that CPS provides the parents overnight determines whether or not the schools can go to remote learning from home. The mayor of Chicago is adamantly, vehemently opposed to remote learning. CPS takes the numbers, switches them around, makes it look good, that school is cool, and the kids go to school. And now we're having a record outbreak, even after having sat out for a couple of weeks. Not a couple of weeks, I'm sorry, for 5 days to get everything back in order. So the reason why this attracted my attention is because if you're sending your kid to school based on the numbers from the school system and those numbers aren't real, you're putting your child in some kind of crazy danger. Also, the teachers are being put in danger. A parent spotted it, noticed that those numbers weren't real, went on Twitter and exposed CPS. My question for you in the chat, for everybody that's checking us out, backchannel.tv on YouTube, or if you're listening to us on an Amazon supported device, how would that make you feel? Let's talk about that. This is a conversation, not a poll question so much, but a conversation. How would that make you feel if you knew that the school system you were relying upon to tell you the truth about whether or not whether or not it's safe to send your child to school was actually doing their job, their part of their job, which is not lying to you, the parent? You can hit us up in the chat. We will be more than happy to talk about it. And really quick, Gliss, if that was, and I imagine, and I imagine certain systems they have to be in place in other school systems around the country. If you found out that your school was lying to you just so they can continue to get that state money and that Fed money to get teachers in school and get those bodies of those children in school, how would that make you feel?
In a word, I would be pissed.
That's a good word.
It's we've talked about it on this show regarding several things. Transparency. If you want, if you're expected to trust in something, there has to be a certain level of authenticity, and you find out information like that, it would be very off-putting, and how it would make you question everything going forward. If that's the case, I mean, if they're not being transparent about that information, then how are you supposed to trust being able to send your kids to school?
Exactly.
And likewise, as you said, if you're a teacher, you're taking a step back. Like, how can I trust going to work every day if I'm not getting accurate information as to where the risks for my health are?
And now we're talking record numbers like 4. Oh man, I will get the exact number. Ridiculous when I heard it this morning. There's no way.
Yeah, that's nuts.
That's crazy. I'm trusting you to tell me the truth. If the school isn't safe, tell me it's not safe. I can then prepare for having to have childcare for that day and to make sure that my kids in front of the computer are on time and ready for class. Teachers can get ready to alter their class if they need to from in-person learning to remote learning. The idea that they keep doing this, playing this game Like people don't see what's going on. It's insulting. I don't have a kid in school anymore. Thank God. I don't have a kid in school anymore. But I have god kids in school. I got nephews and nieces in school. It is utterly ridiculous and super insulting to people to expect someone to be able to absorb a lie like that. What if somebody gets sick and dies because these numbers aren't right? And again, it was front of mind, if you will, for me to mention this because I can't imagine that it's just in Chicago that this kind of thing is happening. It has to be happening in more places in Chicago. Has to be. If you're in the if you're in the chat, as I see Sean is a new a new watcher watching us on YouTube. He's in Missouri. Hey Sean, how you doing? Um, my question for the folks in the chat: how would this make you feel if your school system lied to you about the numbers of people who actually were sick with COVID in relation to you having to send your child to school? That's it's crazy to me. You know what today is, Bliss?
What is it?
It's the beginning of tax season. Aren't you ready? Aren't you fired
I'm
up?
ready
Buddy?
to. I'm ready to just get them done. That's it. That's my philosophy every year. I just want to just nail them out and get it done, get it submitted.
I was going over the numbers, not much in the way of numbers because the last 2 years have been pretty much a dud uh, in the employment world. But I was going through the numbers and I was thinking about when I did this last time, and I'm like, man, I keep hearing them say that they're going to be like overloaded and not be able to process these returns on time, and it's going to be a bad situation. And even though that deadline is April 19th or 18th, I can only imagine they're going to extend it because they don't have it together yet. And then I was like, why am I worried about it? Let me just do it, be a good citizen, good patriot, and do my taxes. And then I read the story, and so I will read it to you because that's what we do here. Uh, an IRS worker shortage, a huge workload from pandemic related programs, and a stalled legislative boost in funding to help process returns will mean a painful filing season. For example, count 30-year-old Ethan Miller among that subset of Americans who are actually eager to file their taxes once income tax season begins, which began today. The financial planner who lives in Silver Spring, Maryland, is looking forward to claiming the new deductions that will come from buying a home. He also wants to get a jump on a tax season that promises to bring lots of extra headaches and delays for filers this year. Here's Mr. Miller. I'm trying to get a head start on my taxes as much as possible, he said, adding that he's not too nervous about forecasts of extra delays because he will file online and will not be waiting for too big a refund. Plenty of other filers, though, may be in for more heartburn. See what they did there? An IRS worker shortage, an enormous workload from administering pandemic level programs, and stalled legislation that would have given the agency billions of dollars for more expeditiously processing returns will combine to cause taxpayers pain this filing season. Quote, the IRS right now has unacceptable backlogs and the customer service that people are receiving is not what the American public deserves, close quote, White House press secretary and all around good guy Jen Psaki acknowledged on Friday. Quote, the agency has not been equipped with the resources to adequately serve taxpayers in normal times, let alone during a pandemic. She stressed that the problems predate the Biden administration, and she urged understanding for beleaguered workers already saddled with huge backlogs. She said, it's going to take some work, it's going to take some time, and I think people need to understand that they need funding, Psaki said. This sounds like the post office. Anybody having trouble getting packages? Here we go. Anybody? Show of hands. Yeah. It's rough trying to get a package, right? Same thing with apparently with the IRS. If you want your return on time, good luck. And then again, I think with most people having worked from home, as we're in our prospective homes, how much work has been done over the last year? Really? Was there any big improvement? I can't speak for what's happening in Portland, but I know downtown Chicago basically was a ghost town until like a month ago.
Yeah.
Like for real, a ghost town. Nothing. I went downtown one day and literally had to stand there and go, why is everything closed? Right. I wasn't aware because I've been in the house for almost 2 years. So now, it's tax paying time. Well, what? And then there's another question. I hope this doesn't get me in trouble, but when has that ever stopped me before? Why are we still doing this way? Isn't there a better way to do this, if at all?
You would think.
I mean,
I don't have the answers though.
I don't either. I just know that the heartbreak and pain that people go through to get their taxes done, it just gets to be a lot. I see Dell from Texas has joined us in the chat. Again, do we need to do that? Huh? After all this time, we are surrendering ourselves to being good citizens and paying taxes. But if the government can't even get the IRS to be ready for our taxes that we're paying, what? I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just imagining. And I do. You know what? When I said that, I immediately thought about John Lennon's Imagination, or Imagine rather. What? I got problems. Delays in processes are to be expected, especially because the IRS says it's still working through 2020 tax returns. Wow. During the 2020 budget year, the IRS processed more than 240 million tax returns and issued roughly $736 billion in refunds, including $268 billion in stimulus payments, according to the latest IRS data. In that same time frame, 59.5 million people called or visited an IRS office. All right, that's it for me. I'm just saying, if you feel like you need to continue to do this, then let's start. It's 2022. Can't we come up with a better way to do this that doesn't just draw people into this horrible place? We'll find out. Hey, I've never heard of anything like this before, but I'm going to share it with you. A stowaway survived an 11-hour flight to Amsterdam in the wheel section of the cargo plane. This is definitely very unusual that someone was able to survive the cold at such a height, a spokesperson for the Dutch military police said. A 22-year-old man who was discovered hiding in the wheel well of a cargo plane at Amsterdam's Schiphol airport on Sunday survived an 11-hour flight, Dutch military police have said. The stowaway, who police said is from Nairobi, Kenya, had been found in the nose wheel of a cargo plane that had flown from South Africa, said the military police in a statement on Sunday. He was, quote, doing well under the circumstances and has been transported to the hospital, according to the statement. On Monday, the Dutch military police said the man had applied for asylum. Quote, we're investigating the man's travel route as well as whether it's a case of migrant smuggling, close quote, they added. Quote, our first concern, of course, was for his health, spokeswoman Joanna Helmans told Reuters in a separate statement. Quote, this is definitely very unusual that someone was able to survive the cold at such a height. Very, very unusual, close quote. As of Monday morning, the man's status was unclear. NBC News, where the story comes from, has contacted the Dutch military police for further comment. A spokesperson for freight carrier Cargolux confirmed the accident in telling NBC News the airline was investigating the matter. Quote, we are not in a position to comment until the authorities and the airline have completed their investigations, close quote. The only Cargolux flight arriving at Schiphol on Sunday was a freighter that traveled from Johannesburg and made a stop in Nairobi, Kenya, according to online flight tracking platform Flight Radar 24. I hate to keep bugging you, Gliss. I know you're working. You ever been to Amsterdam, sir?
Not yet. I'd like to go.
Yes. Oh yeah, I'd love to go to Amsterdam. When I first saw it, I was like, oh wow, he must really be trying to get to Amsterdam bad. I know it's cool, but is it that cool that you hide in a plane and risk your life?
Safe.
No, you would think it would be dangerous. But motivation is everything, I suppose. I cannot imagine that one, I would be in the wheel well of an airplane, and two, depending on what additives he had before he got on that plane, There may be a good reason why he survived the cold at such a high altitude.
Could be.
Hey, it's Amsterdam. Guess who's here, man? Kobe.
Is it Kobe? Yeah, there. Kobe.
Roll Tide,
What's
Kobe.
up,
Roll
Kobe?
Tide. Roll Tide. Roll Tide. You know, we were talking about the stock market earlier. Um, and I'm going to take a look in a little bit to see what it ended up being today, what it points wise, what it closed at. Are you a cryptocurrency guy, Bliss?
No, it interests me, but
I don't understand it.
I don't. It's more like I'm interested, but I don't know enough to dive into it. I don't want to make bad decisions with my money.
Bored.
if I can avoid it. So I don't have enough of it to make to make bad decisions.
Don't start. Don't start. You know, I was thinking about like Odell Beckham Jr. and a couple other athletes, and new mayor of New York. Remember he was talking all that crap the other day about Chicago?
Yeah.
They are all demanding their money in crypto. And I read that Odell Beckham, his contract is now worth like $350,000 or something. Because of crypto slumping like it is. Until and the Fed is trying to regulate it, know that they are, but until that happens, which I think it takes away the magic of cryptocurrency, whatever magic that might be. This market correction that's taking place in the stock market is definitely due in part to Bitcoin and Bitcoin, Bitcoin. Told you I wasn't feeling well, and other cryptocurrencies that are seeing their numbers fluctuate. If what I heard a market analyst say this afternoon, because I do my research, Bliss. I don't know if you were aware of this, but I wake up in the morning. I don't even like drink water. I immediately go to my phone and I search for stuff. And during the course of the day, because I'm governed by my job, it's kind of I feel like I need to make sure that I'm 100%, on board. So I was listening to this market analyst this afternoon, and he was like, if you're a person that bought crypto in the last year and a half, you're the one that's like, oh my God, what is happening? Where is all my money going? If you're recently getting on board, this doesn't really affect you much because you're getting in you're getting in during a correction. Now, I'm not a financial marketer or God knows. Let me make sure I'm on camera so everybody can see me. Look right in the camera. I am not a financial genius. Not at all. But this is a good time to have Bitcoin if you have it. So the coin hit a record high in November of $69,000, and Saturday it was just above $35,000. That's a significant drop in value. And this all started happening on Thursday of last week. And really most of this month, the Federal Reserve, when they set their interest rate, it'll affect the entire market, including crypto, even though let your hippy dippy friends tell you crypto has nothing to do with the government. It has everything to do with the government. A common investment case for Bitcoin is that if it serves as a hedge against rising inflation, and inflation is definitely rising as a result of government stimulus, analysts are saying the risk is that a more analysts are saying the risk is that a more hawkish Fed may take the wind out of the crypto market sales. There's also concern U.S. regulators will further crack down on digital currencies. And then this all somehow goes back to Russia and their central bank banning cryptocurrencies, making this proposal earlier last week. So governments are starting to clamp down on crypto, and people are starting to freak out and oh my god. So I do own, I think a coin of some sort. It's not a Bitcoin. It's some kind of something that a friend of mine turned me on to, and she was generous enough to give me, I think, like 2,500th of a coin. So I got like this much Bitcoin. Can you see? Can everybody see that? That's how much I got. That much Bitcoin and just patience.
A little bit of Bitcoin.
Little bit of Bitcoin and patience and time and room in my stomach. It's that much. That much. But I mean, I hope to. My aspiration is to be better at Bitcoin. But they're gonna have to fix this first. Did you see the Merrill Lynch employee that snapped out at Bobex or Robex or Joe Bex or whatever it's called? I can't pull up the link, but I can give you the synopsis. So the guy walks in. His son apparently had a smoothie and got sick. And the kid got sick. He went back to the smoothie place and proceeded to run the racist wheel of fortune on this entire company and said everything you could possibly say on the wheel, and then threw the smoothie in the worker's face. And then it turns out that he was a executive from Merrill Lynch. Twitter went bananas and proceeded to get him fired and arrested, as he was easily identified by people who knew him that were stunned. Just absolutely did not know he was that racist. I couldn't believe it. but believe it, because he did it. He meant it. That guy. It's James Iannazzo was his name, and it was at Robex. I think his son is okay, but he really, if you could see the video, man, we can't play it because there's a lot of profanity in it, but he went berserk. It was crazy. It was really good. I could not wait to see it today, but oh well. We will save it for next time. Where are we here?
Version.
Yeah. Oh man, we need to work on that.
I could work that out.
Oh yeah, we'll make it happen. Hey, Sarah Palin was supposed to go to court today because she's got this defamation lawsuit against the New York Times, but she couldn't show up. She's got the COVID. Again,
of course she does.
Well. I kind of said the same thing. That's funny you said that. See, I was like, now you get the COVID, huh? The day of your trial. Her defamation lawsuit against the New York Times, her trial was scheduled to open today. It was pushed back until at least February the 3rd after her attorneys informed the presiding judge that she tested positive for COVID-19. U.S. District Judge Jed Rakoff informed those in attendance Monday morning that the Republican former governor and vice presidential candidate had tested positive. Quote, she is, of course, not vaccinated, close quote, Rakoff said. Late last year, Palin said she would be vaccinated against COVID-19 only, quote, over my dead body, close quote. A second test after an hour's recess offered another positive result Monday morning, persuading Rakoff to put the trial start off, despite concerns from the newspaper's legal teams that it was one more delay in a case that was filed more than 4 years ago. Before doing so, however, the judge issued a few rulings that seemed to favor the Times. He disqualified an expert witness Palin's attorneys had proposed to call and said jurors would not hear about the details under which former Times editorial page editor James Bennett was forced to leave. Bennett departed under duress in 2020, several years after the editorial that prompted this suit. As Palin's political career first unfurled on the national scene in 2008, she frequently criticized what she called the, quote, lamestream media, saying it was unfair to her and took pains to cast her in the worst possible light. Best thing that ever happened to Sarah Palin, Gliss, is Tina Fey. The best thing ever is Tina Fey. Tina Fey made that woman likable, if that's possible at all. And yeah, I have a question. I have another question for folks in the chat. I see, who's this? Marnie has joined for the first time. Hi there, welcome. Listening to us on her Amazon supported device. By the way, Kobe's asking if I'm at home. I am at home. This is my house. I don't have anything in it, just that light over there. And this wall over here, and there's a door, but I live on the 8th floor of my building, so I don't go outside. I sit here all night long. This is where I sleep. This is where I eat. I do everything here at the Resolute desk so I can get ready for the show. On the weekends, I do some yoga so that my back doesn't break when I stand up from sitting down all day. And that's it. Gliss never leaves. He left last week. How dare him? Went and had fun. But he's
usually I'm right in this same spot like 24/7.
Just sit there. Don't move. Let's see. Marty's in Florida, by the way. Hey, and Aaron is in Georgia. I hope I said your name right. Hi there. Welcome. Listening to us also on a Amazon supported device. Hi, everybody. I have a question for you, Gliz. If non-alcoholic beer doesn't have any alcohol in it, how come you have to be 21 to buy it?
I'm guessing it has something to do with. I don't know.
Right.
Like maybe just because. Well, first of all, doesn't it have like a slight percentage of alcohol in it? But I'm guessing that it has more to do with the fact that it's still beer, so they don't want to, get it confused.
Perhaps. I feel like this. I, as a drinker of delicious beverages from time to time, I can tell the difference between a non-alcoholic beer in less than a second.
Oh,
So
me too.
I can imagine a child would only be drunk in their mind if they try. Not that I'm advocating children drinking non-alcoholic beer, although I'm always in for a good joke. I'm just saying I don't think that there is a circumstance that exists that a kid drinks that and is like, "Wow, I'm drunk." I don't see it happening. Somebody has me on at a bar. Where is this? Somebody just sent me a text. Okay, I don't know where the hell I'm at, but hey, folks at bar. See, look, here you go. I can tell that's my head. I can tell that's my head because it's turned like it always is. Because I'm,
we gotta find out what bar that is.
Yeah, I know who sent it. So could you give me an idea what bar this is? This might be. It's a bar downtown. No, it's at the Promontory in Chicago in Hyde Park.
Ah, there you go.
There it is, the lovely Promontory in Hyde Park. But if you're selling non-alcoholic beer, this has nothing to do with this story. But if you got non-alcoholic beer, why would you need to, like, a kid doesn't need to be regulated for water? It's water in a beer bottle. Is it because it's the bottle, or because the company sells alcohol? I need a ruling. Anybody? Can somebody please? Okay, Marnie says Kristen Bell gave her kids non-alcoholic beer while they are virtually learning.
I like Kristen Bell.
I do too. She also says she thinks that some of the non-alcoholic beer has alcohol in it, but it's 0% on the label. Man, listen, I'm telling you now, I know a kid that won't drink anything, water, juice, beer, nothing. If I put a non-alcoholic beer in his face, though, he's gonna feel like a grown-up. It's like candy cigarettes,
Yeah.
You're not blowing out smoke, you're blowing out sugar, which is stupid, but that's what you're doing. For years, non-alcoholic beer required a sacrifice. To lose the buzz, you also have to lose the flavor. But that has changed in recent years thanks to new technology that lets brewers make beer that tastes great without the alcohol. Quote, the non-alcoholic beers of the past tasted like punishment. I did not write that, although I thought that. As beer expert John Hole put it, that's changed in recent years for beer fans who want the deep flavors of IPAs and porters without the baggage of alcohol. The new brews are hitting the spot. The shift is due to a culmination of factors, including innovations in vacuum evaporation, filtration, and other techniques that let brewers extract alcohol from beer while leaving its flavor largely intact. Quote, they've really been able to make it taste like regular beer, and I'm constantly impressed, close quote, said Dana Garbs, who would know. She's a beer chemist who owns the Oregon Brew Lab, hey, which analyzes beer and other fermented drinks. You familiar with the Oregon Brew Lab?
No, but you can find, I think there's a microbrewery like every half block in Portland. So, I mean, that's not surprising.
Kind of like a McDonald's in Chicago. If you're looking for one.
Yeah. No, there's beer everywhere in Portland. So that's not surprising that there's whatever the heck it was you just said.
So apparently the pandemic and social media has given non-alcoholic beer a boost. It's flourishing now.
For me, it's just regular beer.
I must say, I've taken some. Yeah,
it's flourishing at my house during the pandemic.
It was flourishing. I live alone. It was flourishing over here too. Got to the point where I was like, maybe I should slow down and stop doing this. I will make a promise to you and to our passengers here on the drive. I will get out and I will try a is there a non-alcoholic wine besides grape juice? Yes, actually, there is. I've had a non-alcoholic wine, which is really good, to tell you the truth. Marty, I will make it my business to try a NA beer, and I will report back to you in a couple of days. Oh God, I feel good thinking about it. We'll come back with our community report. Everybody, stay tuned. Buckle up. You're on the drive with Mario Smith. Back in a moment. Welcome back to the Drive with Mario Smith. I am Mario Smith. We're live in Chicago, Illinois, and in Portland, Oregon. Thank you all for joining us on the Drive, second hour of the show. We're going to talk a lot about the playoffs, and I'm going to talk about Grayson Allen. That's some words for Grayson Allen and the Milwaukee Bucks too. I thought they were a class organization. I'm so disappointed. Then again, they're the Milwaukee Bucks. Just want to give you a quick update, if that's okay with you guys. Stocks mounted a dramatic comeback today as investors stepped in to buy beaten up tech shares following a sharp sell-off earlier today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average closed up 99.13 points, or 0.3%, at 34,364.50, gaining for the first day in 7. The S&P 500 finished higher by 0.3% at 4,410 and 13. The NASDAQ composite gained 0.6% at 13,855.13. The Russell 2000 index of small cap shares closed up as well. So the market made it happen today. The NASDAQ composite index turned positive after being down as much as 4.9% earlier in the session. The Dow rallied after being down 1,115 points at one point. The S&P 500 closed in the green after briefly hitting a correction earlier in the session today, falling more than 10% from its January 3rd record close. Monday marked one of the best market comebacks in a long time. That's because we talked about it. Congratulations, gang. Appreciate you. Kobe in Alabama. Marnie in Florida, Matt also in Florida. It says America, all right, in Texas, and Alex in South Carolina. Thank you all for watching. Welcome to the drive. You all are passengers on the car that moves, not slow, but it moves. It does indeed move. Arizona Republicans are proposing major changes to the elections after the GOP review finds no fraud. If you remember, during the election, Arizona was one of the states that Trump was counting on to come up with all kinds of fraud, and they never did. And they never will. Arizona Republicans have put forth 24 bills this month that would significantly change the state's electoral processes after the GOP's unorthodox review of millions of ballots affirmed President Joe Biden's victory and turned up no proof of fraud. Proposals introduced in the state house or the Senate would add an additional layer to the state's voter ID requirements, such as fingerprints, and stipulate the hand counting of all ballots by default. Other legislation would require that paper ballots be printed with holograms and watermarks. Republican legislators argue that the proposals, part an ongoing surge of GOP-led election changes enacted or under consideration across the country, are necessary to enhance election security and prevent fraud. Official counts, audits, and accuracy tests have confirmed the election results in Arizona and elsewhere without finding evidence of widespread fraud, and states with Republican and Democratic leaders have certified the results as accurate. Former President Donald Trump, who continues to promote the lie that the 2020 presidential election was stolen from him, was unable to prove any of the claims in court. You got to be some kind of a special somebody to keep a lie going all this time. This is a long time to. Am I missing something? On January 6th, help me here, somebody. Didn't Donald Trump sit? What? Ooh. And it's still going. People are still believing that he thinks that people think that he thinks he won. But the whole world knows he didn't win, and we have clearly put in a president that's not Donald Trump. Yet wow. I said it last week. I wonder, is he walking around Mar-a-Lago with like a fake seal of the United States that he made himself on a fake podium, and he's just having these conversations with people, and they're like, "Yes, Mr. President," and acting like they're newspaper reporters and stuff. Wow, that's a lot of work. You're doing a lot of work, my man. I didn't know that there was a Harry Potter trial on Broadway, probably because I don't live in New York. Broadway's Harry Potter and the Cursed Child actor was removed. The actor playing Harry Potter has been fired from the Broadway production of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Following why is the child cursed? Oh, I'm sorry, parts 1 and 2. Why is the child cursed? He was fired following a complaint by a co-star about his conduct. Producers said Sunday night that after an independent investigation of the incident, they decided to terminate the contract of James Snyder. The exact nature of his conduct was not specified. Snyder did not immediately reply to a request for comment. Producers in a statement that they received said in a statement that they received a complaint against Snyder from a female co-star in November and immediately suspended Snyder. The female co-star has decided to take a leave of absence from the Broadway show. The play, which picks up 19 years from where J.K. Rowling's last novel left off, portrays Potter and his friends as grown-ups. It won the Tony Award for Best New Play in 2018. That's how late I am. I didn't even know. Quote, "We are committed to fostering a safe and inclusive workplace, which is why we have robust workplace policies and procedures in place for all those involved in Harry Potter and the Cursed Child," the statement by producers said. Well, it seems like they've got cursed adults, not just a cursed child or two. I wonder what he did. That's not good. You have to behave yourself in the workplace. This is something I'm learning. I knew that already. I'm just saying. You have to, get it together. Kobe with some strong words about Donald Trump that I can't repeat. Hold on now, Kobe. I see you. I didn't know Kobe bringing it home, swinging hard today.
Don't hold back.
I mean, say what you feel. He really is like, I wish I could repeat it. Okay, it rhymes with snitch. He said Donald Trump is a snitch. I can't get in trouble. Can I get in trouble? God, Bliss, I kind of wish you were here, man, so you could just like hit me in my side. Like, don't say that.
Yeah, if I'll always, if I'll speak up if I think it's.
I know you will.
But I think we're good.
I know how you'll speak up too. I'll be like, hello. Anyone hearing what I'm saying? Video will pop up all of a sudden. Like, hey, why is that video on?
Well, you're a man of the people. You got to let them speak. And
wow, how'd you come up with that? I'm a man of the people. Who you been talking to, Gliss?
I've gotten to know you a little bit.
Thank you, buddy. I am not the man of the people. I'm a man amongst the people.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, whatever. It's kind of almost works under the same principle. I did not know this. There was a big fire in California, a wildfire, another one, Hundreds of people remained under evacuation orders as firefighters saw the blaze 35% contained by Sunday night along a California highway. Firefighters gained greater control on Sunday of a wildfire that closed Northern California's scenic coastal highway and threatened a famous bridge, although about 500 people stayed under evacuation orders, officials said. The so called Colorado fire, about 15 miles south of Monterey and just north of the area known as Big Sur, broke out on Friday night and crossed the Pacific Coast Highway, burning for a time on the ocean side of the road. This is a very iconic highway. When they make it, it's like, well, it just happens to be called Big Sur. I know what Big Sur is. Come on, man. Write this right. The fire approached but did not damage the Bixby Creek Bridge, known for its spectacular concrete arch support that soars 260 feet over the gorge and Pacific Ocean below. The fire was 35% contained on Sunday night, up from the morning's figure of 25%, the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection said in an update. The blaze was limited to about 700 acres, down from 1,050 acres in the morning, a revision it attributed to accurate mapping. I mean, every now and then in Chicago, there'll be like what do they call it? A red flag alert or something like that when it's really dry and they're worried that there might be some kind of brush fire. Highly unlikely because, I mean, there's not that much wildlife in Chicago. But I can only imagine living on the West Coast, man. You got to be like, whoa, be careful. And again, I go to my West Coast representative, Jay Gliss. What is that like living under that constant, like, okay, it could go down any moment here with a fire?
Well, it's kind of crazy because we've done some stories over the last couple of weeks just with some of this, climate stuff, and it's been getting progressively worse here in Oregon. We had this last summer. It was the first time where there was communities kind of around the Portland area that were literally having to be evacuated. I mean, the Portland metro is, generally speaking, enough out of the way where you might see it in some of the outlying areas that are closer to Mount Hood and a little further south, but it's definitely been getting progressively worse. So I'll have to send you a picture sometime because we weren't evacuated, but we had family members in our area and friends that were evacuated during the last round of fires, and I can show you a picture where I was going to pick up my kid, and literally the sky is just bright orange and red. And it's honestly, it's kind of beautiful and fascinating, but also very, very scary at the same time. They would ask you to stay inside, because of the air quality and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely something you have to be aware of. And I wouldn't want to be buying property in certain areas of the state of California or certain areas of the West Coast, just because it is a thing that can happen and it can get out of control very quickly.
I would say so. I just don't. I like the idea of living, let's say, in Portland or living, on the West Coast. Living in Vancouver is kind of like the move. If I move, that I'm gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
But the idea of okay, Chicago thunderstorms, tornadoes, not tornadoes so much, but severe storms and wild weather, like it just snowed that I wish I could show you now, and extreme cold, things like that here. But to be out on the West Coast and I got to worry about fire. Man, look, I've survived a long time here, and I don't want fire to be the way it goes down. That's that just
That would be scary. Yes.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, again, it's just me. So my route of escape is I'm running straight. I'm like Derrick Henry. I'm running straight. I'm not trying to do a lot of cutting and weaving. I'm going straight out the door, straight away from the fire. But that is wild. That is wild. I'll share a couple of stories with you, then we're gonna set up for the top of the hour, everybody. A woman shares the reason why she didn't hear back on her job applications. Almost all of us have been turned down for a job at some point in our lives, and if you've been rejected for multiple at once, you'll know how frustrating and upsetting it can be. But for one woman, her inability to get called for an interview at around 60 different companies was entirely her own fault after she made a horrible mistake in her applications. It took her years to laugh about it, but after 60 job applications, She discovered the reason for the complete lack of response was she was not attaching her resume. The document attached was the one she used to track her monthly cycle.
Whoops.
Wow.
Minor misstep there.
That's awfully odd. My goodness gracious.
That must be quite a feeling when you come to that realization. I mean, just
my goodness.
both the embarrassment and the kind of revelation of like, oh my gosh, like
I must be the worst person.
What job?
I
what jobs did I miss out on? Like,
right. And what jobs did I miss out on? I applied 60 times for 60 different jobs.
Because I was sending them very, very personal information instead of my resume.
Let me tell you how personal it is. I bristled at whether I was going to read that or not. That's whew. And there's a story out today, and we'll make sure we have it tomorrow with all the names attached. A woman happened to check her spam folder in her email and discovered that she had won $3 million in the lottery.
Wow.
And would not have known if she hadn't checked her spam, which made me immediately check my spam for lottery tickets I never bought, just in case. I put in lottery, see what happens. Nothing happened. But here, you'll know when it happens, Gliss. You will know. This drive will be driven by someone else, but it depends on how much I win. Today is a Beer Can Appreciation Day. I can dig it. Today is National Just Do It Day, and also one of my favorites, it's National Peanut Butter Day. I can get down with that. Oh, wow. In 1995, the opening statements began in the O.J. Simpson murder trial.
That was quite a time.
Buddy, I was mad.
I was living in LA at that time. I was in middle school. My dad worked about 2 blocks away from Nicole Brown's condo.
Whoa.
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah, we used to drive by it all the time, and they had the whole thing closed down still at that time. It was while the trial was going on, but man, that was a crazy time. And his house was only a couple blocks from there as well.
Yikes.
Yeah, that was a crazy time.
It was pretty crazy to say the least. I remember I was without telling how old I was getting old, and I remember one night in particular during the trial, not the opening of the trial, I was getting my hair cut. The Knicks were playing, I want to say they were playing Houston in the NBA Finals that year.
That's right. Yep, it was.
Yeah, and they interrupted the finals to show this Joker driving down. This wasn't even the trial. It was before the trial, driving down the highway in the Bronco with AC.
That's right.
Like, is he in the Bronco? Is he alive? Why aren't they showing this game? If he's driving somewhere, let him go. And that turned out to be one of the most iconic moments in American television history. OJ driving. Not him driving, but him on the floor crying and sobbing, apparently, according to what movie you watch. Down the highway. And any California folks in the chat that would like to comment on that day if they remember. Marnie said that was not good advertisement for the Bronco. You should be writing for us. That's good stuff there. It was not. That was a bad day. Such a bad day for the Bronco. But now the Ford Broncos all, they've got that OJ smell off of it. Now they're trying to sell it again. Also today, John Belushi would have been 73 years old today. Wow. One of the funniest people I've ever seen in my life on TV. Super funny dude. Yeah, super funny. My folks used to let me stay up to watch Saturday Night Live when I was a little kid. And that's when I started drinking coffee, unfortunately. The Drive, second hour is about to come up. We'll be back in a bit. Thanks for watching, everybody. Tell your friends they can check us out on YouTube at backchannel.tv or on their Amazon-supported device. Just ask to watch or listen to The Drive with Mario Smith. Be back in a bit. Top of the hour coming up. Welcome back to the drive with Mario Smith. How you doing, everybody? It is the top of the hour. Wherever you are, hope you're having a wonderful afternoon or evening. And we are about to get into it. Let's talk about what's happening at the top of the hour. The United States is considering its military options at the Ukraine border, along with the defense secretary presenting President Biden with those options in response to Russia's threat to invade the Ukraine. The stock market mounts a stunning comeback this afternoon after being down 1,000 points earlier in the session. And also, the murder trial begins for 3 other police officers who were involved in the George Floyd murder. Those are the stories that are happening at the top of the hour. And now, one of my favorite times of the day. It's time for us to talk celebrity talk. Let's do that. Have no fear, everybody. The camera's here. I don't know if you saw, I was enjoying apple juice. No palm today, Gliss. It's apple juice.
You switched it up?
I ran out.
Oh, there you go.
I have a really gigante bottle of palm, but I just got my good old apple juice. And when I don't drink coffee, I drink apple juice. It has the same effect.
Yeah.
The exact same effect.
I've had my 4 cups of coffee, so
4 cups of coffee? What's wrong? Where are you going? 4 cups? What the? Come on, man.
Kids, man.
I keep forgetting you have several children. Oh my goodness. Say hi to everybody. Kobe in Alabama, Marnie in Florida. Who else we got here? Alex, America. Many folks on our stream today. Thank you all. Really appreciate it, and we totally are into the fact that you're into us. Thank you for being passengers on our drive. We know Kobe isn't a big fan of Donald Trump, so I hate to do this to you, Kobe, but I gotta do my job. DirecTV has dropped Trump-friendly One America News. Excuse me. DirecTV plans to drop One America News Network, significantly shrinking the reach of the right-wing TV channel friendly to Donald Trump and widely criticized for spreading misinformation, including the former president's false claim that he won the 2020 election. The satellite television provider said Saturday that it has informed OAN's owner, Herring Networks, that it will no longer carry its 2 channels when their contract expires. The other AWA is a lifestyle channel. The decision is believed to remove OAN from millions of homes. Quote, "We informed Herring Networks that following a routine internal review, we do not plan to enter into a new contract when our current agreement expires," close quote, a DirecTV spokesman said in an emailed statement. The spokesman would not say when the contract expires, but Bloomberg News, which first reported the development on Friday, said it expires in early April. San Diego-based Herring Networks did not immediately respond to an email seeking comment. Bloomberg said DirecTV is OAN's largest distributor. On its website, Herring says OAN is carried by Verizon, Fios, never heard of it, and several smaller TV providers. It can also be streamed online. Major cable companies, including Comcast and Charter, do not carry AON. AT&T has a 70% stake in DirecTV, which has carried OAN since April 2017, after AT&T settled a lawsuit demanding it carry the channels. Herring Networks had claimed AT&T reneged on an agreement to carry OAN on DirecTV, which it acquired in 2015. So look, I get it. I understand the need to try to word this properly. I don't want to. The need to get the news out and to get the story out. I understand that, but you can't lie and about something as important as the national election and expect everybody to be like, "Oh, it's cool. You just told a lie. No big deal. Come on. Don't worry about it. It's just a lie." No, that is not how any of this works. And I wonder how does that kind of get into the line of censorship a bit there? You got a guy who has the insatiable appetite to talk in Donald Trump, but he's not telling the truth, and that becomes dangerous to the republic. And there has to be a line. Isn't he allowed? Oh, boy, I don't believe I'm about to say. Isn't he allowed to talk? But he can't be allowed to lie. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
mean,
I think you're right. There is it's kind of an interesting time that we live in when it comes to that kind of stuff, because on one hand, he should have the right to, say what he wants to say and, use his platform. But at the same time, I think there's a certain amount of responsibility that comes with that kind of power, especially when you're a former president of the United States. And spreading things that are intentionally misleading is not ideal for anybody. And there's, a lot of people that follow him, that are very hardcore supporters of his, that believe everything that he says. So I mean, you don't want people in positions of power like that,
right.
that are misleading people. It's not good for our country.
And even if he's not in the power seat anymore, the fact that his influence is so big,
Right.
he can say anything, and his people are like, "Yeah, go Trump, go." But you can't lie. That's I mean, I guess it's the level of danger his talking does is the problem. And I can totally understand why they shut that whole network down too, because it's full of lies and misinformation. But isn't there some? There has to be a median for that, because you got to have balance. If you don't have balance, this is not fair and balanced. But if you don't have balance, it's I don't know. That just maybe it's me. Maybe it's just me. I just think that he can do that job, and they can. Kobe is just going in on Trump in our chat. They can.
I was just reading that as well.
They can. You can broadcast and have your opinion, and you can have a dissenting opinion, and
Sure.
not be evil and reckless. That's what I'm trying to say.
I think reckless is the key word, because you're right. Even though he doesn't hold the highest office in the land anymore, to his followers, he still has that power over them. And so, yeah, there needs to be some responsibility, and reckless, I think, is the perfect word for what we're talking about.
And Marnie says, I think that's why they give you a warning on all the social media sites that that's false information. But people don't read that. They see it, but they're not really reading it. Have you watched Jordan Klepper, I think is his name, on the Daily Show?
Oh, yeah.
When he's talking to all the Trump people?
Yeah.
They don't really read and comprehend what
Well,
they're seeing. They just see it and then they go, yeah, that's messed up, that's fake news.
And that's what I was going to say. Even if they do, they believe that that's not true. They believe it's false information, and that it's somehow just information, or that it's a warning, or something that's meant to take away his influence. So I mean, those people that are dug in on their position, they're not gonna, that's not going to change. They don't believe that is the case.
Marnie's saying they believe it until, I like Marnie. They believe it until August, and then having to go to jail for it, and then they call Trump a liar. Just like when he started talking about getting vaccinated, they're all like, "Whoa, what? You said don't do it. Whoa, we hate you." No, you don't. You love him. That's the problem. You love him. You don't hate him at all. Meatloaf passed away last week. The iconic singer and actor. And then something happened. Weber Grills did something wrong. The wrong day for just grilling meatloaf.
Whoops.
The outdoor grill maker apologized on Friday for. You know what? All this stuff happened right after we got off the air, too, man. I mean, like 5 minutes after we got off. The outdoor grill maker apologized on Friday for sending a recipe of the week email earlier that day, featuring instructions on how to prepare, quote, barbecue meatloaf, close quote. The email coincided with the news of the death of Marvin Lee Day, best known as rock superstar Meatloaf. Not long after sending out its recipe, Weber Grills followed up, offering its, quote, sincerest apologies to recipients. Quote, at the time we shared this recipe with you, we were not aware of the unfortunate passing of American singer and actor Mr. Marvin Lee Day, also known as Meat Loaf, close quote, Weber said. Quote, we want to express our deepest apologies for this oversight and for any offense this email may have caused, close quote. The company based in Palatine, Illinois, offered its condolences to Aday's family and fans, signing off as, quote, the Weber family, close quote. Meatloaf, Meatloaf, who shot to fame on the back of anthems such as Paradise by the Dashboard Light and 2 Out of 3 Ain't Bad, died Thursday, according to a family statement provided by his longtime agent, Michael Green. He was 74 years old. So let that be a lesson to all of you marketing folk. You can't say you're gonna have a meatloaf recipe because a man who go this. Come on, they didn't need to apologize for that. Did they really need to apologize? Did someone read that email? Let me get this straight. Somebody who loves meatloaf, the food product, not the singer, or maybe they love both. Somebody read that and went, "That's insensitive to do that on the day that meatloaf died." Really? I don't think not one person.
I'm with you. I'm not offended by that. I mean, even if it was intentional, like maybe a little bit.
It's funny if it's intentional, Gliss. Yeah, that's great.
It's funny, and I could see how some might think it's a little bit in poor taste, but really, I mean, he named himself Meatloaf.
Meatloaf. So his name is Meatloaf.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Is like if there was a rapper named Twinkie and something happened to him,
give it a week. Like, give it a week, Gliss.
Can we just separate the two things? Like he named himself Meatloaf. It wasn't like
right. He wasn't going around.
He has the rights to everything that revolves around meatloaf in the entire world.
So I can't make meatloaf because the singer Meatloaf might be like, "How dare you make meatloaf?" Yeah.
Oh, cancel dinner, honey. We can't make meatloaf tonight.
Right. We got to call it something else. Meat log. And I don't want to call it that. Meatloaf. They apologized for. Oh, wow. Man, come on, y'all. That doesn't warrant an apology. And Marnie says that is ridiculous. They apologized for a recipe. That's what I'm saying. It was Meatloaf. Look, if Meatloaf was... he would have probably laughed.
Yeah.
And I'm sure every time he saw a recipe for meatloaf, he went, God, I wish I wouldn't have came up with this name, Meatloaf. But he did, and it was great. Leave Meatloaf alone. And Weber, me and Gliss need grills.
Yeah.
So if you could send those out.
I need an upgrade.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Man. So much in the world that they could apologize for, Weber, but they chose to apologize for that. So I don't know if anybody went to the movies this weekend, but Spider-Man's #1 again. The thing that apparently, along with the Chicago Cubs winning the World Series, that's causing all this conflict, Spider-Man, after spending 1 weekend in second place, Spider-Man No Way Home proved it still had some fight left. Sony superhero juggernaut swung back to first place in its 6th weekend in theaters and became the 6th highest grossing film of all time globally. The film topped the North American charts with $14.1 million this weekend, according to studio estimates on Sunday. Globally, it's now grossed nearly $1.7 billion, passing the total earnings of both Jurassic World and The Lion King. And in North America, it's $721 million, making it the 4th biggest release ever. Peter Parker also stole first place back from Scream, which fell about 59%, a typical drop for a horror, in its second weekend with an estimated $12.4 million in ticket sales. The Paramount release has grossed $51.3 million so far. Universal and Illumination Sing 2 landed in third place in its 5th weekend with $5.7 million. The animated title has earned $241.2 million worldwide. There was little competition for the holdovers to contend with this weekend. The only 2 fresh offerings nationwide in theaters were comparatively lower profile releases. The King's Daughter, a fairy tale with Pierce Brosnan that was filmed in 2014 and held until now. God, it bombed. You think? with $750,000 from over 2,000 locations and redeeming love, a faith-based, I knew it, historical romance with Nina Dobrev, which cracked the top 5 at $3.7 million. All right, I have to make a confession. I have not seen Spider-Man yet. I want to see it. Haven't seen it yet. I have an opportunity to see it. It's right. I can throw a rock at the movie theater. It's right down the street from my house. Can I have a copy of it? I can see it in my house. I feel safer in my house.
To go outside. Yeah.
I'm not really leery to go out. It's just, man, I know people are lying. So I don't want to be in the theater with Fred from down the street. My neighbor's name is Fred, and I know he's watching. I don't want to be it's not you, Fred. I don't want to be with Fred down the street and then I get sick because I'm trying to enjoy Spider-Man. Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. That's all I'm saying.
That makes sense.
I mean, I would like to enjoy the movie. And that what is it, Redemption, whatever? They've been running this commercial on the radio here in Chicago, man. I guess all over the place. Oh my God. I am so glad that movie is about to be on video because it was driving me crazy. So there's a new movie coming out. Guillermo del Toro is bringing out Pinocchio. It's going to be on Netflix in December, and it reimagines the classic tale as a stop-motion musical adventure. Did you see Guillermo as Desi Arnaz Jr.?
I did not, no.
I'm pretty sure that's available on Amazon Prime Video. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it is. And I can't get him as that creepy guy in that movie out of my head every time I see him. I think he's going to try to kill somebody in anything I see him in. Or is that Javier Bardem I'm confusing him with? I'm thinking about Javier Bardem. Guillermo del Toro's, okay, I keep thinking they're the same guy. They're not. They're two different people. See, my entertainment expertise is getting better every week, Bliss. Look at me. Look at how I'm putting it all together. God. But anyway, that comes out in December. It was quite the weekend in sports. Oh my goodness, all over the world. Stupid Tottenham lost, by the way. Tell your brother I said hello, Gliz. It's been quite the weekend in sports. And when we come back, we will play ball. It's The Drive with Mario Smith. Thank you to everybody that's checking us out on Backchannel.tv on YouTube or on your Amazon supported device. We'll be back in a bit with Play Ball. It's The Drive with Mario Smith. Be right back. Welcome back to The Drive, everybody. I'm Mario Smith. Thank you so much for checking us out. It's Monday, and we're getting through this week early. We're going to push through. It's gonna be fine. Folks have joined the stream. My man Tay Tay here in Illinois. What's going on, brother? Kevin in Maryland. It says Screen in Florida. Okay. Frosty in Michigan. And I believe it's Alan here in Illinois. Kevin is also on the stream. Kevin, I said that. Kevin in Maryland. Scott suggested that I'd be better off waiting for it on Disney Plus. Spider-Man. I guess. I mean, if I'm going to see it, I'm going to see it. All right, enough of that stuff. It's time to talk sports. It's time to play ball. This was quite the weekend. Bliss and I have agreed that we're going to, a fair amount of this segment is going to be us talking about football. But I do want to talk about a couple of things that happened and that are happening of note. The Olympics are coming up, as everybody knows, and Olympic hockey teams are permitted to have a 6-player taxi squad. The International Ice Hockey Federation has approved adding 6 additional players to each team for the upcoming 2022 Olympics in Beijing. This is from TSN in Canada. Rosters will consist of 25 plus the 6 additional players that are eligible to play if injury or COVID-19 becomes a factor. The rule is essentially the same as an NHL taxi squad, which has been used by the league the past 2 seasons due to the pandemic. The rule will apply for both the men and the women. Last month, it was decided between the NHL Players Association and league that NHL players would not attend the 2022 games because of the surge in COVID-19 cases and multitude of postponed games. Both sides had originally negotiated Olympic participation in Beijing in their latest collective bargaining agreement, but now say the focus is on sending players to the Milano Cortina games in 2026. The IIHF said earlier this month that individual NHLers would not be accepted into Olympic participation on their own accord. The Beijing Olympics are slated to open on February 4th and run through February 20th, and you can believe you'll get all the coverage you want of the Beijing Olympics. I promise you. I will make sure that we talk about it. I love the Olympics, actually, especially the Winter Olympics. That's my jam. So I'm one of 3 people in the world that really likes the Olympics. New Jersey Devils defenseman PK Subban wants the hockey world to focus on how we can change after alleged racial taunt aimed at his brother. Jersey Devils defenseman PK Subban on Sunday night addressed an incident involving an alleged racial taunt aimed at his brother Jordan in a minor league game Saturday in Florida. The East Coast Hockey League indefinitely suspended Jacksonville Iceman defenseman Jacob Panetta pending a hearing for what Jordan Subban, a South Carolina Stingrays defenseman who is black, said was a racist taunt. The Iceman later announced they released Panetta. PK Subban is in his 13th NHL season. Wow, he's been in the league a while. Spoke with reporters following the Devils' 3-2 loss to the Los Angeles Kings. He had posted a series of social media messages earlier in the day regarding the incident, but his post-game news conference featured his first comments in person. Quote, "I didn't sleep much," close quote, he said, referring to the Saturday night when he heard the news after the Devils defeated the Carolina Hurricanes 7-4 in Newark. Quote, "Sheer disappointment. It's distasteful. There is no room for it in our game. I'm embarrassed because our game is better than this," close quote. PK Subban's been playing in this league a long time, and I'm sure he is being kind when he says that that he's disappointed. I again refer to you all. There's a book called Game Misconduct. My man Evan F. Moore wrote this book, co-wrote it, and it talks about the toxic culture of hockey. Do yourself a favor and grab that book if you can. Game Misconduct. He took so much flack for writing that book, you almost have to get it. What's wrong with John Stockton, Gliss? Is there something wrong with him? Is he one of those people?
What's he doing?
So he wouldn't wear his mask at a Gonzaga game. And Gonzaga took his season tickets away. He's their most famous alum.
By far. They've been pumping out some pretty good basketball players over the last 2 decades, but I mean, the all-time leader in assists in the NBA. I mean,
he's a dream teamer.
Yeah.
So here's the news. Basically, quote, basically it came down to they were asking me to wear a mask to the games and being a public figure, someone a little bit more visible. I stuck out in the crowd a little bit, close quote. The former Utah Jazz point guard told the outlet in an interview on Sunday. He told the spokesman in review, quote, and therefore they received complaints and felt like from whatever the higher ups, those weren't discussed, but from whatever it was higher up, they were going to have to either ask me to wear a mask or they were going to suspend my tickets. Stockton has previously spoken out against pandemic measures, including mask mandates and lockdowns. He recently appeared in a documentary featuring commentators, quote, known for spreading, close quote, pandemic misinformation, CNN notes. Gonzaga University has not directly commented on the cancellation of Stockton season tickets, but the school based in Spokane, Washington said in a statement to news outlets, quote, attendees at basketball games are required to wear face masks at all times. How hard is this?
I don't
Dude,
know.
you're John Stockton. Even if you don't want to do it, people will listen to you. Just wear your damn mask.
And also, I mean, I think for most sporting events, concert venues, this is a thing that's, this is how it is now, and I don't really get, that the rule's in place. Just follow the rule. Like it's not that hard. I took my teenagers to Disneyland over the summer in August, and they're pretty good about if you're inside. Anytime you enter a building, they remind you must have your mask on. You must have it over your nose, over your chin, and they would have to remind people. But it's like you'd see people, taking them off, and they'd get to the front of the line. They'd be like, put it on correctly or get off the ride. And it's just, I don't understand making a big fuss about something when you knew the rules going in. You came there knowing that was the rule. So like,
right. It's not like you didn't know.
It doesn't make sense. Like, are you just doing it, to be a pain in the what? Like, I don't really understand the thought process behind it. Like, no going in, so just do it. So, or don't show up.
Well, don't go. You're John Stockton. You got 95 TVs in your house, John Stockton. Even though you wear those weird clothes, you got TVs. So like here in Chicago, as of January the 1st, you have to wear a mask indoors at concert venues, restaurants,
right,
entertainment venues, period. And people are acting like they didn't know. I was at work this weekend, and a lady came in there and was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, ma'am, and I literally said, ma'am, please don't act like you didn't know that on January 1st, everywhere you go, there's a sign that says you have to wear your mask.
Right.
And she's just like, well, I'm not going to do it. And then it was the thing with the vaccination card with another lady. She goes, I don't have one. Like, you haven't gotten vaccinated? She's like, I don't have it with me. Oh, well, I can't let you in. Why not? Like, you know what, man? Just stop, everybody. Stop doing that. So yeah, John Stockton, figure it out. Get a stylist and get out there and enjoy your games, dude. Before we talk about football, because it was something this weekend, Grayson Allen. This punk, Grayson Allen, former former Duke star, starred using that loosely. Grayson took Alex Caruso out the sky on a play, and Alex Caruso fractured his wrist. Grayson Allen smirked after he did it. No apology, no nothing. He came with some, I didn't mean to do it. Still never apologized for it. Milwaukee Bucks issued a statement saying they supported Grayson Allen's suspension, or they supported him and didn't agree with the 1-game suspension he took. Caruso is going to be out of a job for 6 to 8 weeks. Let me tell you something about Grayson Allen. What he'll never do, he'll never be a man, no matter how old he gets in his life. He's a punk. He's a punk. And if anybody knows Grayson Allen, you can tell him I said it. In fact, my email is available if you want it. And he can email me. We can have a discussion about it right here on the drive about how big of a punk he is. You don't do that. And here's the problem. And this is going to sound bad. And let me give my disclaimer. I don't condone violence. But in basketball, you get one opportunity to snatch me out the sky and not apologize for it. because the next person behind me on my team is going to knock you clean out. None of that happened. We're in a new era in the NBA. If this was in the Bulls 90s, if it was during those Trailblazers 70s and 80s, they'd be still picking pieces of Grayson Allen up off the floor. He's a lucky dude. He's a lucky man. 1 game suspension he could have ended Alex Caruso's career. He snatched the man out the sky.
And what bothers me is I don't get this talk. I've seen people defending that it was just a hard foul. No. And to me, it ends. If he would have just went up for the ball, it would have been just a hard foul. It was the fact that he brought his second arm back around the back of Caruso's body and swiped at him as he was still in the air. So when he initially went up, it was just a foul. But he had to actually think that through while he was making that play, that he was going to then use his second arm to make sure that he hit the ground hard enough. So to me, that's more than enough, intention right there to show that it was a dirty play.
I've had to really watch my back about what I'm saying about him, because I don't want something to happen. Look, they're coming to Chicago March 4th, and I'm pretty sure he is not coming out of his hotel room, and I'm pretty sure he has already gotten word that he is not welcome here. But I don't want anything bad to happen to him. I need him to be healthy and stay healthy. I need him to get on that floor at the United Center. And then I need somebody on the Chicago Bulls on that first play to be ready to get suspended for 8 weeks by punching him square in his face. Break all of it if they have to. Take that suspension and that L. Put somebody in that doesn't play. Don't have Kobe White do it. Don't have DeMar do it. Don't have Zach do it. Have somebody that's the deepest part of your bench. Sign somebody on a 10-day that's a bully. And get him to come out there and take Grayson Allen's face and make him have to miss 8 weeks of basketball. And then that guy gets suspended, he goes away, whatever. So, because you can't do that. I'm not condoning violence. I'm just saying, in basketball, you can't take one of my best players out and not expect something to happen to you. Not anybody else, but to him. He is a lucky man.
And he's the worst part about it to me too is when he was over on the bench smirking about it, laughing about it, is as if it was funny when when you're trying to intentionally hurt someone. And I don't know that that's what was going through his mind, but what he did was for sure a dirty play. He knew what he was doing when he swung at him while he was 9 feet in the air. And he also has a history of this kind of behavior. So, right. I mean, that's more than enough, to, like you said, he, whatever's coming to him later down the line, he probably deserves it when he's, making plays like that. That's, like you said, are going to affect Chicago's entire season, and, it affects somebody's career.
Screen is saying back in the day, people used to care about their team. Now they don't care. They just want the money. I don't think that's true. I think what they care about is actually getting that fine. Screen. I don't think they want to get fined, and I don't think they want to have to miss time. Because there's never been a basketball fight of any consequence in the 2000s. Not one, except for maybe the Malice in the Palace. There's never been a fight of any consequence. Those days are over for sure. What they care about is not missing time. They do care about their teams. At least this Bulls team does. I just cannot understand why not one person, made it their business to have a conversation with Grayson Allen, if you will. I'm still surprised. Danielle has joined the stream as well. Thank you. Where are you from? I can't see where you're from. Please put where you're from in the chat so I can shout out your village, your town, or your burg. All right, this weekend was it. What a great football weekend for so many different reasons. We'll go through these games really, really as not super succinctly, but quickly, so we could talk about what people are saying was the greatest football game ever last night, which was a really good football game. Let's go first. Bengals, Titans. I thought it would be tight, man. Uh, they need a quarterback in Memphis. I think a good quarterback wins that game. Derrick Henry maybe didn't need to play that game because his legs did not look like he was ready. He was super, he's still big, but he wasn't ready for running. I don't think.
He didn't look 100%. That's for
Not
sure.
at all. Not at all. And Bengals, man, Joe Burrow cannot get sacked 9 times next week and expect to win that game. They got lucky. They got
It's
very lucky.
it's pretty amazing that was the case, and they somehow were able to win that game. I mean, that if you would have said that before the game, you would have thought there was no way that the Bengals had a chance to win that.
Exactly. It was one of those football games. Joe Burrow I told you, man, he reminds me of Joe Montana so much. Just he is like, I'm not losing today. You guys gonna win with me? Because I'm gonna win whether you guys are with me or not. I'll do it by myself. He got sacked 9 times. He didn't get sacked like, let me lay you down gently on the turf. He got hit hard. A few of those times I was like, oh, he ain't getting up, and he got right up. Dude is tough, man. Joe Burrow got my attention. I don't think they're gonna do much, and congratulations to him. Um, but oof, that was rough. Terry's in Arkansas. It's his first time joining us. Welcome, Terry, to the drive. Appreciate you, brother or sister. I don't know. Or him, her, he. I'm learning my pronouns, so I'm not insensitive. Um, Second game of the night, though, the Packers lost. oh, oh, yeah, that dog faced criminal lost. I was so happy. I texted Gliss. I'm like, hey, man, how about it? They did it. That was a great game. 49ers, man. I saw that first touchdown.
They snuck out of there.
Yeah, they did. I saw that first touchdown, and I was like, okay, this don't look too good.
No.
But it's a lot of football left. And I stopped
They
watching.
marched down there with ease and scored a touchdown on that
Yeah,
first
they
drive
did. I stopped
against a
watching the
good
game.
Niners defense. Yeah.
Yeah, I stopped watching the game. I came back, and I thought it was something wrong with my phone because they still had that 7-piece on the board.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, the 49ers are going to win. They have figured it out. The Packers suck in the playoffs. Funny thing, 5 weeks ago, I told a guy, like, the Packers are going to lose in the first round. That is what they do. And if they play in San Francisco, they're going to lose in the first round because he can't beat them. He's been so mad at them for not drafting him. He has been so angry at them not drafting him.
Yep.
He has not been able to beat them.
Yep.
Whether he goes out there or they go there. And sure enough, man, it was fantastic. And I'm telling you, it is your just the level of trolling that is taking place in Chicago. It is epic. It's been on the news.
I think that's fantastic.
Oh, it is the best thing ever, man. Let me just, on behalf of everybody in Chicago, too, every 49ers fan and member of the San Francisco 49ers, thank you. My Bears kind of stink, but that made up for any stink the Bears have because the Bears and the Packers will be watching the playoffs next week at the same time from the comfort of their homes. So screw them. 49ers are in it. Apparently, their injuries may be getting better by the time the championship game comes around next week. Should be an interesting game to say the least. Another interesting game that happened: the Rams and the oh my God, I forgot who they played.
The Buccaneers.
Yeah, that's right, Tom Brady.
Tom Brady. You just say Tom Brady.
Yeah, the Rams against Tom Brady. Kind of what I figured was going to happen. I didn't know they were going to lose a lead that big. Thomas was not having it. He was trying really hard to win that game. And, I mean, the Rams played well. But, I don't know. What were your thoughts about the Rams and Buccaneers? And I think Tom Brady's coming back, too. I don't think he's going anyplace yet.
Yeah, I think he might come back for one more year as well. Yeah, I was kind of surprised. LA looks like they're kind of putting it together. They look pretty sharp. I was kind of surprised that basically Tom Brady he didn't really play that well, which is not like him this time of year. So I was kind of surprised how Tampa came out kind of flat. But I think we talked about it on Friday that they seemed like they were a team that was a little bit vulnerable coming down the stretch, and that definitely showed in this game. So
Yeah, I yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. Well, I got to put it together. The last game was the last game of the night last night, and it was the best game in a long time in the NFL. The Kansas City Chiefs against the very tough Buffalo Bills. I gotta tell you, man, that was a good football game,
yeah,
and and the fact that those
it was
two
an
dudes got,
amazing football game.
yeah, that wasn't just good. That was super good. More of that from the NFL. They've got those two teams are going to be doing this for a while. I think. Count the Chargers in there with that too. I think it's
Yeah,
going to be. I think that AFC is a lot more inviting a place to be than the NFC right now.
yeah.
Um, the Chiefs are spectacular. That stupid overtime rule, I really wish they would kill it or turn it into the college overtime rule. Or just
Me
give
too.
give the other team a chance. Now there's the people who will say, well, keep them out the end zone in overtime. And I don't disagree with that. But you give the game that good, you don't end it like that. You give Josh Allen a chance. You let them keep going until one of them doesn't do it. Keep going.
Yeah, and not only that, but I mean, there's two sides of the ball in football. There's an
That's
offensive
right.
side and a defensive side. So why? I don't like the idea that, well, the other team will get the ball back under certain circumstances. If they only score a field goal, then then the other team gets a chance. But if
Right.
they score a touchdown, the game's over. It just doesn't make that much sense to me. And like you said, it as great as that game was, an instant classic, it's kind of it's a little bit of a damper to know that it would have went the same way, more than likely if Josh Allen would have had the ball in his hands. So it's so disappointing that we didn't get to see that continue, because the plays that those two quarterbacks were making in the last few minutes of that game were unbelievable. I mean, I've never seen a game where two guys, like, it literally looked like the game was over 3 different times in the last minute of the game.
Right.
And it was just going back and forth. And yeah, you put a college, the college football, you take that playoff system where those guys each get a shot and they're going back and forth. I mean, who knows? That game could have went on for another 30, 45 minutes and
Would have
they
been
would
fine
have
by
been
me.
exhausted. But yeah, the level of entertainment that I think we missed out on, considering how good the game was up until that point, it's a little bit disappointing. And you hate to see Josh Allen, almost, we talked about, the Kansas City, it's, you kind of have to beat that team. They've kind of been that it team the last couple years, and they were knocking on the door several times, and to see him have to sit on the sidelines and watch it, not get a chance to get the ball back in his hands, like, it's just kind of disappointing. I wish they would change it.
Well, I'm sure they'll think of it, and then they won't do it because, but we'll give our predictions and stuff for next week. But I'm already calling, man. Chiefs 49ers Super Bowl.
You think so?
The Rams can't beat the 49ers.
I know. See, that's the only thing I'm worried about, though, is like, man,
it's
it's
hard.
hard.
7 times though.
Yeah, it's so hard to beat.
Times.
It's so hard to beat a team that many times, but at the same time, they keep doing it. And and I will say, in Week 18, when the Niners had to come back against the Rams to clinch to get into the playoffs, there might have been more 49ers fans there than there were Rams fans. So that's something that's going to play in San Francisco's favor a little bit. Is it's not going to be as much of a home field advantage as I think the Rams would like. So it should be interesting.
I think Chiefs 49ers, man, and I think the Chiefs are going to win it all. I think that game, the Bills and the Chiefs game, was the Super Bowl game. And whoever was going to win, that's going to win the whole thing. But I think Chiefs 49ers. If the 49ers do make it, though, I give them as much a chance as the Chiefs, because you can catch the Chiefs slipping.
Sure.
I mean, it's not hard to catch them slipping. And Deebo Samuel's a grown blankety blank man.
Whew. Yeah.
He is a grown blankety blank man. All right, guys, when we come back, we will, what are we doing? Front of mind. We'll talk about what's happening. Thank you to Kobe and Stephen who joined the stream. It's his first time. Stephen is in New York. Thank you so much. B. Marnie in Florida, Marty and Terry. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for being passengers on the drive. And Kobe, thank you so much for your wonderful comments. We'll be back in a bit. You are watching The Drive on Backchannel.tv. Just looking out of the corner of my eye, what you guys can't see is the sun going down. This is awesome sunset tonight in Chicago. Don't forget, you can join us back on backchannel.tv at 6 a.m. Eastern time with Haley and Allison. They'll be kicking off the broadcast day, and then you can listen to live or watch. You can watch or listen to Jam and Renee, Anthony Davis, my pal Hal, and then we'll be back at 4 Eastern on the morrow. Here's something for you for your mind. How are people finding joy, or how are people finding joy in this moment during this pandemic? You made the sourdough, you built the Lego castle, you grew the vegetables. Now what? To help you find your next moment of joy, this is from NPR. They asked their readers what creative ideas they've come up with to cultivate happiness 2 years into pandemic life. Here are some answers. All right, here we go. Okay, one person said that she used her love of poetry to connect with a literary family. Her advice is to spend time with your people. Nothing wrong with that. One reader said she regained a lost skill after having a stroke. In late 2019, she taught herself how to crochet again following a massive stroke at the age of 37. And her advice is practice being grateful before things go wrong. I salute you for that advice. One person says she took to the water, leaving her fears on land. She tried open water swimming for the first time, and she signed up for a 5K. Now she's preparing for a 10K ocean crossing. No, but congratulations. Her advice, try something new, even if it scares you. One person biked from San Diego to St. Augustine, Florida, and created a blog about it. Ooh, that's a long bike ride. And his advice was to feel your best, go outdoors. Another person took listening to a new level. Says they've been really listening to music, analyzing it, really trying to find out what the artist is saying, using it, just find a song that I like and then listen to it over and over again. He said when he first listened to Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly, he felt like he had really absorbed what he meant, and his advice was to use your time to delve into what you love. This gentleman, excuse me, the onset of the pandemic coincided with his dog passing away at the end of 2020. Rats, that's gotta suck. At 38 years old, I was as low as I'd ever been. I was as low as I'd ever been when I walked into a secondhand shop and found the instrument that I have since dubbed Violin Manuel Miranda. At the time, I didn't have a clue how to even take it out of the case or inspect it or to know how if it played rather. But I felt sure that this was what I needed to pour my grief into. So he started playing a violin. His advice is to gravitate toward the things that pull at your heart. This one person says she got her squad together 80s style and coordinated weekly outdoor roller skating sessions with her quad squad, her and her girlfriends. And her advice was to embrace your curiosity and explore new passions. And I won't read them, but this is the last one. She said she totally bugged out. Last year, the emergence of the periodical cicadas was a wonderful reminder that life goes on and on and on. Brood X cicadas didn't emerge where she lived, so she drove north a few hours to experience them. She kept opening the car window, hoping to hear their eerie song, but didn't until she crossed the Bohemia River on Maryland's eastern shore. And once she got to the North Shore, they were everywhere. It was wonderful, and her advice is to tune into wildlife for moments of beauty. Gliss, what did you do, or what have you been doing during the pandemic to get yourself, aligned?
Well, I spent a lot of time when the kids were first home. I was spending a lot of time being a stay-at-home dad / teacher. But I tried to I definitely did a lot of Netflix in the beginning. But outside of that, I like hiking a lot. There's a lot of beautiful places to hike out here. So getting away, and doing stuff like that, clearing my mind is kind of stuff I like to do. Camping during the summertime when it's not freezing cold. But that's the kind of stuff I like to do to kind of clear my head. So
what did I do? Well, there was a point you couldn't go to baseball games, but I ended up going to a bunch of games anyway after that period had died down. I think I ended up filling up my bookcase, and I just tried to make sure I added books. I haven't read all the books I added either, but I wanted to make sure I had a lot of books, and I started playing video games again.
I like playing video games. I like playing some PS5.
So. Yeah. I also made a bunch of banana bread and probably gave way too much money to my local beverage place.
Yeah, I've done some of that as well.
Oh boy, I can't wait to go to the doctor. It's gonna be an exciting day. I'm sure there's gonna be like, so Mr. Smith, your liver looks like cheesecloth. What's going on? What are you doing? It shouldn't be that bad, but I think everybody should try to find a way to exacerbate the greatness. There is so much crazy going on in the world. You got to find a moment to be like, this isn't so bad. This is cool. Did a lot more traveling up to Promontory Point, which is not far from here too, to just kind of sit and watch the lake move and be in that moment. That did a lot for me. We talked about Belushi's birthday. Ed Helms from The Office and The Hangover turns 48 today. Daveed Diggs from Hamilton and Snowpiercer turned 40 today. In music history, Evil Ways by Santana entered the U.S. singles chart in 1970. In 1991, In Vogue Cindy Herron made her movie debut playing a nurse in Juice, which stars the great Tupac Shakur. In 1994, the album Greatest Hits by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, one of my favorite bands ever. It's certified gold and platinum. And in 2003, Led Zeppelin's 1971 rock album, Stairway to Heaven, and Peter, Paul, and Mary's 1963 classic of Blowing in the Wind are among 21 new additions to the Grammy Hall of Fame. Okay, Gliss, thank you, man.
Of course. Let's do it again tomorrow.
I got an idea. Well, yeah, I'll be here for it. I'll show up. Thank you, brother. Really appreciate it. Welcome back home.
Thank you.
On behalf of everyone at Backchannel.tv, thank you so much for checking us out. And thank you to all our passengers who are on the drive with us today. My name is Mario Smith. As the sun sets in Chicago, Illinois, we wish you a wonderful evening. Join us at 6 a.m. Eastern Time for more Backchannel.tv.